Pete Grinke here with Louis Fisette. It's been a long time since we talked to you, Louis. And you got a big fight coming up against Ginger with the intent to injure Rick Pfeiffer at XFFC 5 on October 24th.
Yep.
Talk about this fight with Rick and what to expect with him.
I think it's gonna be a good fight. I think it'll be a good matchup for me. I think it'll really allow me to showcase my skills. I haven't had the best of luck in the past couple fights, but I'm looking to turn that around now, and I think he's the right guy to do it against. He's a nice guy. He seems to kind of just go out there and enjoy fighting, same as I do. So there's no real animosity between the two of us yet, anyways. But I think we're just gonna go out and put on a good show for the fans.
So, 2-fight losing streak on Ultimate Fighter or 6-fight winning streak? Like, what frame of mind are you in coming into this fight?
Honestly, I'm not too worried about that. Technically I'm on a 2-fight losing streak. That is on the Ultimate Fighter, mind you. So
just exhibition? Exhibitions,
which I don't really count. I mean, a fight's a fight in my books. I lost both of those. Both game opponents. Obviously, they're both doing fairly well in the UFC now. Chris Holzer, I think, is 1-2 in the UFC, and
yep.
I fought the winner of the Ultimate Fighter and the runner-up. So shitty draw, maybe. If I wouldn't have fought those guys, would I have done better? I don't know, but yeah, to me, it is still a 2-fight losing streak. There's no added pressure by that, mind you. I'm still just going out there and looking to win this fight. I don't care if I've won 6 or lost 2. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just looking to win this one, and this is the most important fight so far in my career.
So we've seen guys like Cody Bollinger and Josh Hill fight in World Series of Fighting.
Yep.
We've seen, of course, the guys who won a couple fights now in Ultimate UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't we seen you in action the past year and a half?
It's just a couple things fell through. I was in talks with World Series of Fighting Canada, and I was supposed to be on their card that was coming to Winnipeg. They had said last year at some point, or early this year even. So there was talk of like October last year, then it got pushed back to January, then to March. Then I had a summer trip booked. So I wasn't going to push this trip off anymore. I had booked it for last year when I made the Ultimate Fighter House, and I had to cancel it. So I decided to go on the trip and take a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit, get my mind off fighting for once, which I haven't really done since 2008 when I started fighting. So it was kind of nice to just take a break, and I got back, and there was a few offers out there, but nothing really set in stone. And again, we were still in talks with the World Series of Fighting. Nothing got written out, and then Excessive Force approached us and made us a really good offer that I was really happy with, and they've been really good to me. So we signed that one, and unfortunately it's October 24th, so I had to wait a little bit. I would have liked to get in there a little bit sooner, but it gives me more time to prepare.
And more time to cut, right? I believe.
More time to cut.
It's kind of an off-the-cuff interview here, but I believe it's not at 125, right? But it's, I think, at 130?
130, yeah.
So is that a result of Ultimate Fighter and seeing the size of these guys, or what made you decide to drop down now?
That is
but
mostly...
You're undefeated, 6-1.
Yeah, I think it was ultimately just a decision that I kind of made. Being in the house, obviously seeing guys that are on the upper side of the 135 division. Guys like Josh Hill, he's pretty short, but he's super thick, super strong. And when I was there, I was walking in about 140. So, from 140 to 135, there was not much of a cut. I think I cut like 4 or 5 pounds while I was in the house. So, I figured I could make it when I was in there, and I still think I can make it. It's just a matter of really setting my mind to it and dieting properly and, making the cut.
How do you feel, like, out of that show, there was the 2 winners, like 2 guys you fought that did really well. You talk about Josh Hill. 2 of the 8 don't even, missed weight there, right?
Yeah.
And one's fought a couple times and missed weight, Cody Bollinger.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about that at all? Like these, you were a small guy, but maybe you weren't a small guy. Maybe these guys just were not fighting the right division either.
Not really. Cody missed weight, Anthony missed weight. But there was still, Davey Grant, who was a really, really big 135er. I think Josh and I were walking around the house at 145, sometimes even lower, 140. These guys were, up to 160 when they were walking around. They'd, cut day of weigh-ins from 150 and stuff like that. So I do know that for a fact I am a small 135er. Josh gets away with it because he is pretty muscular. He is really lean all the time. So he may be at 145. Walking around, but he is really lean, so he doesn't have much to cut down from there. I could probably shave off a few pounds here and there.
You mentioned Davey Grant. Your teammate Roland DeLorme was scheduled to fight him.
Yep.
Unfortunately he was injured. But how would that fight have went?
I think it would have been a really good fight. They're both very, very different fighters. You know, Davey's just kind of a brute, and he's super strong and just comes straight forward, and you know, his kickboxing really slick, but on the ground he's just kind of not as refined as Rolly is. Rolly's obviously really, really good on the ground, super slick, super smooth, and tough as nails. You know, I don't think you can put Rolly in a fight that he doesn't have a chance of winning. You know, I've always said it about Rolly, and I think one of his best skills isn't kickboxing, isn't jiu-jitsu, isn't wrestling, but is that he thinks that he can beat anybody in the world. You know, you could put him in there with Cain Velasquez or Alistair Overeem, and Rolly would still think he'd beat him. You know, he's just one of those guys that doesn't matter who he's fighting, doesn't matter how big they are, how strong they are, how good they are. He's still coming out. He's trying to take their head off, and he knows he can win every fight.
Yeah. So, you know, going back to this layoff, like, have you had a chance to increase your skills here too? Was there benefits to that?
For sure. I mean, I think honestly the best thing I could possibly have done with my time off was just take time off. You know, since I think 2008 when I started fighting as an amateur, I've just kind of been consistently training, and it's been one fight after another. And even when I would take 6 months off, it was a few weeks off, and then I would train for 4 months, and then do right into a training camp for 8 weeks. So I never really had like an actual vacation, actual time off away from fighting. So the skills are there. You know, yeah, there's always ways to improve your skills. But I think at a certain point that the best thing you can do for yourself, the best thing you can do for your skills is take some time off, stop thinking about it, and just kind of let everything heal up. You know, I have a couple injuries. You know, I had bad elbows and stuff like that, bad neck. My neck's starting to feel better. I can actually wake up in the morning and, I can twist my head side to side and not be cringing in pain. So I think the best thing was just take some time off. And, I was still training, but I was actually training for fun. I was actually enjoying it. I'd come to the gym and actually want to come here instead of being forced to be here. Training on a full belly is a lot better than training when you're starving. So there's a lot of good aspects to having some time off and just relaxing.
But that time off, though, when you're concerned about ring rust on the October 24th in Grand Prairie?
I think ring rust is somewhat just something in your head. If you're training hard and you're sparring, I feel like I'm in a fight every Monday night when I spar with the guys. So as far as ring rust goes, I think if you just get past that mental barrier of knowing that I've been off for a year and a half or whatever it is, that's really the main concern, is just getting over that mental barrier. I've never had an issue with mental barriers. I've always just kind of broken through them. So this is one of those things that I'm going to get in there. I think I'm going to feel very at home in the cage. I've had quite a few fights now, quite a few amateurs, quite a few pro fights, and I think I'm just going to get in there and feel at home and do my thing.
Any prediction on the fight?
I think I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him bad. I think he's going to put on a good fight. I think we're going to put on a good show, but I don't see any way that I'm going to lose this fight. Whether it's standing, whether it's on the ground, whether it's me grinding out a decision, I think I'm just going to take it however I want to take it. I don't want to take anything away from Rick, but I think I've just worked too hard for this, and this is kind of the fight that shows everybody that I was good enough to be on the Ultimate Fighter. I was meant to be there. It wasn't just a fluke that I happened to do a couple good interviews and get on the show. I deserved to be there. I was good enough to be there, and this is that fight that kind of shows myself and all the people who've doubted me that I am the person that deserved to be there and that's worked this hard to be here.
Well, there's no doubt Diego Wilson's chin didn't doubt the fact that you belong there. So before we let you go, any family, friends, sponsors you'd like to thank?
Obviously everybody at WAMA, Curtis, Rolly, Lindsay Hawks, all the guys, Brad, Kyle Oliveira's actually come over here now recently, and he's been a good addition to the team. All my sponsors, there's a whole bunch of them. Obviously Strive, I'm going to do my strength and conditioning there. MMA Jam, the website's actually been helping me out with all my interviews, all my sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So I've been dealing with that, so I want to thank them. All my family, they've been behind me since day one. Through the Ultimate Fighter, they spent 6 weeks waiting for me at home and hoping I got back safe. My girlfriend, again, put up with this fighting for the past 4 years now. So, everyone who's been behind me and who's going to be behind me for the next little bit here, I appreciate it.
All right, we'd like to thank Luis Fisette here for his time, and best of luck on October 24th.
Thank you.
XFFC 5 in Grand Prairie.